I'm excited to welcome you to Live Healthy Naturally, a podcast about how to get healthy and stay healthy naturally. I'm Dr. Sowmya. You can find us on all major podcast hosts, including Google, Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hello!
Hello.
So here I have today with me, Neha. I think I've known you for how many years now?
Oh, goodness. 5?
Is that it?
Seems longer, doesn't it?
Yeah. I feel like I've known you all my life. So I guess I met you when I saw you for your daughter's appointment. Right. Yes. But obviously, we have actually become such good friends since. And I love that. I'm grateful for that. Yeah, it's just has been such a wonderful journey all along. I always thank all these little ones that brought their mommies into my office so I could actually become friends with them. It's awesome. And we're going to talk about your daughter and your journey through health, different things that you have tried, what worked, what didn't work, and how everything was and everything is. So tell me a little bit about your background, Neha, in the sense that what do you do, maybe, where are you from, and how long have you been here, that kind of a thing.
Sure. So I was born and raised in India.
Mm-hmm.
I moved here with my family when I was 16.
Okay.
And been here since. I've been in Texas since.
Wow,
yes.
So you moved to Texas first?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, when I was 16.
Okay.
So been here since then. Got married about 13 years ago.
Okay.
We have 2 little girls and a dog. I work in the IT field and, juggling work and being mommy and all the fun things we do.
Yes, this is true. So tell me a little bit about your childhood in the sense that how were you raised? Since we are talking obviously about healing and our health journeys and all of this in this podcast. Tell me a little bit about how was it when you were a child? Did you have any kind of sicknesses that you had to deal with? What was the idea in your family about health? How did they deal with it?
Yeah, so people assume that if you were born and raised in India, then everybody's following the natural path and Ayurveda and this and that, but that is not really true. I mean, a lot of people are really gravitating towards modern medicine, even, Western medicine, even back in the day when I was younger.
And that's how your family was?
Yes.
Okay.
But I did have some exposure to homeopathy because my grandmother was very interested in it. And time again, she used to go to this little homeopathy doctor's clinic on the side of the, how they have those little clinics in India,
right,
pretty close to the house, and you could just walk.
Right.
So that's how, my exposure to homeopathy began. And in my gut, I always felt like I would shy away from medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sick and I'd be like, no, I'll be fine. Just give it another day, Mom. Just give it another day. And I just felt like there was a better way of doing it. I didn't really know quite what to do or what remedies to take, but I always felt like there was a better way.
See, we talk about intuition, right? There are some things that we just know in our gut. And we talk about that a lot, even with spirit, like our spirits. How our spirits actually know even ahead of time what it needs, even if it doesn't have the knowledge of what needs to be done. So that's beautiful.
Amazing.
That is beautiful. It's always the case, and I see that so much more now, than ever before. I always used to be very logical, very, that everything has to be this, and this. Everything has to be matter. And it's amazing because my father used to practice Reiki. Okay.
Wow.
And I did not believe in any of those things growing up. I did not.
Wow.
I know it's interesting, right? Yeah. That you would think that, somebody like me would be the one that would be all of that. But I wasn't. I was like, I don't know what the heck my dad is doing. It's like he was doing all kinds of things with his hands. Strange. This is just, yes. I'm like, Dad, you need to stop being strange because you're actually, creating a bad reputation for doctors. Stop doing those kinds of...
I know. Discouraging him.
Exactly. I didn't exactly say it to him because in India you don't really say those kinds, but that's how I was thinking in my head. I'm like, oh gosh, my dad does all these woo stuff, stuff, that doesn't make any sense, and everybody's going to think he's a witch doctor and all of that. But the longer I've practiced, the more people I've seen, what I actually realize is that, oh my God, energy moves matter, and it's not the other way around. So if I don't really, and homeopathy is actually energy medicine, it works on the energetic level, not really on the matter, but the energy moves the matter. So it's amazing how, we all have, even with whatever background we come from, we actually still have so many reservations and so many things change over a period of time.
We've just all come a long way, let's just say that.
Yes. So since your grandmother was so into natural stuff, was there any kind of natural remedies that she used for you guys that you can maybe share with our listeners?
Not really anything specific. I could just think of homeopathy as being something that she would gravitate towards, but not really, making special teas or things like that. When
no homemade remedies.
No homemade remedies or anything like that I can remember or recall.
Okay, well, that's all right, because I always ask my, people that I interview, because it's always amazing how people actually have all these different things that people do. And I'm like, wow, tell me more. Because even just recently, I had a patient that told me about a place that she went to in India. And recently, and this person actually did kind of like a lymphatic massage for her. And this lymphatic massage that this person did, then they actually put some packs on like her abdomen and her chest and all of that. And it just blew my mind, because even though, again, that's the reason why it's like, what I don't know is the size of the ocean. Right? What I know is like the size of the grain of a sand grain. That's all I know. So obviously it's like, I was blown away by some of the things that she shared with me. Yes. And I was like, oh my God, that is wonderful. I said, oh, I need to go learn that as well. So that's why I asked everybody, because there's always something that I can learn and our listeners can too. And the more tools we have in our arsenal, the better it is, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So then tell me, and how did you then, from kind of being raised in a conventional, methods, even though you knew it, how did you come to know, or how did you come to wanting to do differently?
So it's funny because it started with not even health stuff. It started with cosmetics and body care stuff. So I started researching on what's in our soap. One fine morning. I don't even know why.
Wow.
And started realizing there's all these chemicals in all our body care products. And I remember reading a book. It was called No More Dirty Looks. It was written a long time ago, and they had some resources on, what brands have natural ingredients. But more than that, it taught you what to look for, which are the bad ingredients.
Very cool.
So I remember literally going into the bathroom and wiping everything clean, because every single product I had, whether it was makeup or body care, had something toxic or filled with chemicals.
This is actually very interesting. I didn't know this at all again. So it's always, good to find out, right? Wow.
So that's how it started. And I didn't even have kids back then. I was married at the time, and my husband looked at me very suspiciously. Obviously, he's like, this is a good trick to buy new products. I'm like, no, the old ones go. They're not staying.
Wow. And again, another important thing that I want to point out here is most people actually start this, like, looking at things differently once they have kids, because they're looking at it for their kids. But it's interesting that you did say that it was something that you always had. Yeah. And so obviously that has continued into it. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it started. And it just made me more conscious of reading ingredients, even on food labels and all of that. So it basically began a journey of research, and then one thing leads to another, and then when my daughter was born, she had colic, and I was trying to find ways to kind of get her to not be so restless, and I started researching essential oils, and that's how that journey began.
Okay.
So she had some allergies, or what it seemed like at the time. She was coughing all the time. She had eczema.
Like food allergies.
Or we couldn't even pinpoint at that point what it was that she was allergic to. I remember the turning point was when we changed our pediatrician, and that is so important, because you have to listen to your gut. There are people and that are going to tell you, no, you're just imagining things, or this is going to go away on its own. And when you see your child suffer, and there's something wrong, and in your heart something can be done, you have to be an advocate for them, because they can't really describe in words what's going on with them.
Yes.
So when we changed our pediatrician, it was a turning point. We walked in and she was like, okay, definitely gluten allergy, definitely this and that. And then we got started on, getting the tests done for allergies. And she came back positive to all these food allergies. I mean, potatoes, eggs, dairy, yeah, you name it. And
Right.
she had all these allergies. So we started doing a protocol to just kind of remove these foods from her system. The one that helped the most was gluten, obviously, because she was severely allergic to gluten. She didn't have celiac, but she was allergic. But her cough didn't really go away, and I could just tell there was more. Like, she was not thriving, you know?
Yes.
Even despite removing those foods from her diet. So I started again. That's what moms
Researching
do.
more.
Researching. How do you reverse?
Thank
I
goodness
know,
for
thank
moms,
goodness
isn't
for
it?
moms. And
researching moms. Let's put it that way.
yeah, exactly. Without having to scare yourself, because you know you can start researching and then it's like too much information too at times. So I was trying to figure out, how do you reverse food allergies? I mean, I don't want her to live with these food allergies for the rest of her life. And surely there's got to be a way.
Right.
And everybody says no, but I was like, there should be.
Right.
So I read an article that talked about how naturopath doctors can help reverse food allergies by basically resetting your system.
Right.
And it was just an aha moment for me. And I was like, what? Obviously, like this makes so much sense, because you're not masking the symptoms. You're trying to go to the root of the problem and looking at it from a whole body perspective, not just like one organ here, one issue here, one issue there. So I then went online and looked for naturopath doctors in the area, and there you were, like nicely sitting 10 miles away from me.
Wow, that is convenient.
It really was. I couldn't have asked for, anything else at that point. And honestly, I felt like I'd hit the jackpot when I met you. So, and the healing journey began truly at that point.
And can you tell me a little, or can you tell our listeners as to what were the things that she was having when you found us, or when you found me, and then we started the whole process? What was it, and what did the healing journey look like? Because a lot of times, one of the things that I even often tell my new patients is this, that yes, you will start seeing changes, but you're not going to see major changes if you don't even try something for 3 months. And this is true for any practitioner, not just me. The reason is that how our cells actually are. Our cells usually, kind of regenerate or reproduce pretty much on average once every 3 months, overall in the body. So in the 3-month mark, we actually see major differences compared to the 1 month mark. And then in the 6th month mark, we would see even much bigger differences than the 1 month mark. And a lot of times people actually start on these chronic healing journeys. And, they actually start out with a lot of vigor and, energy to it. But then they, maybe a month into it or 2 months into it, they actually lose that momentum and they stop. And when they stop, essentially, they just lost that 3-month mark, and they have to start over again whenever they start. So that's the reason why I would love for you to share what it looked like for her, for you, so that it'll be a lot more easier for people to understand what does it even look like, a healing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. It takes time and effort, everything. But at the same time, it's just so rewarding, isn't it?
Yes.
So when we started, obviously there were all these foods that she couldn't eat. I couldn't even have a crumb of gluten. And gluten is in everything. It's in bread, it's in crackers and all these,
omnipresent.
Snacks and it's everywhere. Cereal, you name it. Gluten is everywhere. So I couldn't even have a crumb of gluten in my plate. And if she would be near it or eat it, she would, start having flare-ups. Apart from the food allergies and the foods that she couldn't eat, there were some obvious things that you could see. So eczema was one, coughing was another, tummy issues, constant tummy issues, irritability. I mean, you could clearly see the child.
And how old was she at that time?
Wow, you're going to really take me back. I think 4.
4? Okay. I kind of thought that she was around 4 or 5, but again, okay.
So, 4. So irritability and mood swings, and just overall, I just wanted her to be more happy and more easygoing, just go with the flow, those kinds of things. So when we started, that obviously it was a process, but I started seeing differences very quickly. Very, very quickly. And that is the amazing thing about our bodies. They respond so quickly when we're on the right path to healing.
Yes, they do.
And I remember a couple months into it, obviously we started seeing improvements right away, but a couple months into it, there she was just being so happy and laughing and jumping and playing. And I just couldn't believe it.
Yes.
Because she wasn't suffering and bogged down by those,
right,
physical ailments, tummy issues, or this hurting, or coughing, or just being bogged down with all those things. And she could eat things.
Yes. Yes.
She could try things and decide whether or not she wants it. And, we would respect her boundaries and her body, telling her what she wanted or didn't want to eat or try. But it was also a lot to do with the mind games, right? Because we've told her so long, don't eat this, it's going to hurt you. Don't eat this, it's going to hurt you.
Yes.
And then changing that and going, it's okay, you can do it. Your body is capable because you're on this beautiful path of healing.
What a beautiful gift to give her, right? Because essentially so many people are afraid of so many things. Like even food is something that people have become afraid of, right? So many people. And because we actually are always wondering about, oh, what is this food going to do? What is that food is going to do? And also there is so much information out there about this is the enemy and that is the devil. This is the Satan and all of those things. So which means that it actually makes everybody so afraid of so many different things and don't even know what is right, what is wrong. Versus now, instead of actually making her more fearful, now actually telling her, no, your body has the ability to heal and see it healing. And now you can actually do it. And this is something that I hope she keeps forever, because it's not even about, the medicine she took. It's not about who treated her. It's not about any of those things, but the ability of the body to heal. And if we know that always in our gut, that we have the ability to heal, then we are always going to research, we're going to seek, we're going to find, and we are going to actually get on that journey at one point or another. And that is the most important lesson out of all of this.
That is so true. That is true. And she gets it. I mean, but we also balance things out.
Right.
Just because we know you can eat gluten now doesn't mean you're going to overdo it.
Right.
So we balance it out, and she understands that, still listen to your body, which is the most important thing.
Yes. And that's the thing. The reason is also, some things are not really food anymore. We have to say that too, right? Not everything is food. Like, just because we put a label on it as food does not make it food.
No.
If it comes from a factory, which has actually been put in there and it can stay on a shelf forever, it's not food. So the more we eat those kinds of things, the body's language is pain, it's cough, it's eczema. This is the way it speaks. And if we only know how to decipher that language, we would be able to go and help the cause of it, instead of actually just putting band-aids here and there and everywhere.
Exactly.
Right? Until the body keeps crying through different organs, because it's going to.
Yeah, it has to tell you somehow.
Exactly.
So amazing healing journey. And of course, we tried acupuncture also with that, which really helped move forward the healing process quickly. And there's a Nambodhari method of acupuncture.
Nate.
That really helps with, specifically for allergies.
Yes.
And I think that was a wonderful addition to our protocol.
Yes. No, that's wonderful. Yes, Nate actually helps amazingly for so many different things. And because acupuncture really works very much in conjunction with what we do. So everything, if you think about it, I was just thinking about it recently as to how conventional medicine is all about matter. And most of the other systems of medicine are all about energy. Okay, and I was just thinking that, wow, so all these systems are actually constantly, systematically nullified, which are actually based on energy, because Chinese medicine is based on energy. Ayurveda is based on energy. Homeopathy is based on energy. So which means that, and all of these systems work wonderfully. And because acupuncture works in the same exact way as homeopathy, we do pills with homeopathy, which actually moves energies in a certain way and balances it out. And acupuncture does it through needles. So it's the same thing. And so I love acupuncture. I'm always, like I personally go and get acupuncture done. Because, it's like amazing, just I can go lay there for an hour and get acupuncture. Exactly. Pretty much that's what I do every time. I go take and, get acupuncture. It's wonderful. So everybody should really do these kinds of things or have them in their, arsenal.
And sometimes people think that kids are too young for acupuncture, but you can't undermine their abilities too.
Yes.
Like, how am I going to make a 5-year-old lie down still for 30 minutes with needles?
Right.
But she did it.
Yes. Yes. I mean, some kids probably may have some, but again, it has to do with the energy flow, right? Because all the kids have the ability to be able to be still for a certain period of time. But depending on how much they can, there are still some things that can be done.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. And so the eczema went away and she's able to eat all the foods that she eats. Okay. Now, and there's nothing that she's allergic to anymore food-wise. Okay. And then did she grow? What happened after that?
Yeah, so she was thriving and growing, and everything seems to be perfectly aligned. We continue to do detoxes, and recently we also learned about thermograms, which was such a perfect tool.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why we push things away, but sometimes we're like, it's so non-invasive.
Right. Yes.
And it tells you all these
and
things.
Radiation free. Yes.
And all these other procedures that people do, even blood work can detect some of the things that the thermogram can detect even 10 years or more ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, this is the example I usually give people. Like blood work, I'm not actually dissing the blood work at all. We obviously do blood work, from time to time for people who need it. Like, for people, that we need it for. But the problem that we see often, at least especially after I've learned more about the thermograms, and since we have been doing thermograms and we've been seeing the results with that, it's been amazing how the blood work misses so much. Because blood work is pretty much like a river that's actually going to a village.
Right.
So the river carries certain kinds of things, but what does the village do with that? You will not know until you really look at the village. Instead, we are looking at the river and we are saying, okay, the river has this, the river doesn't have this. But what does it even mean if the village is capable of doing it or not?
That's a great way of putting it.
So that's what thermograms do. They actually look at the tissues instead of at the blood.
Yeah.
Because blood carries things temporarily. Waste, it carries it temporarily. It's not there permanently, but it actually goes and throws everything into the tissues or brings things from the tissues and eliminates it. That's the only job of the blood. It's not really do it all. So which means that if we don't really look at the tissues, we are not getting a whole picture. And that's what we have been really getting from thermograms, which actually helps us understand the root cause of problems and help us help people better.
Yeah. And just looking at the thermograms and how it can effectively give you a whole body picture.
Yes.
I was so amazed.
What was her thermogram like? And do you remember specifically what was found that was mind-blowing for you, like you didn't expect to see it, and what was done after that?
So I think with her, the heavy metals, of course,
and especially because she's only 8 now.
Yeah,
8. And so a lot of times this is another thing that people think, oh, you're so young.
Exactly.
Right? How is it possible that you'll actually have heavy metals? Right? And I can even tell you that probably that's been something that's been going on for much longer. And that is also one of the reasons for eczema, because many, many, many times we see heavy metals as a cause for eczema. And the detoxification pathways. That's another thing that the thermogram shows, is how our detoxification pathways are, which is so important, because if those are not working optimally, then the body detoxifies poorly, causing problems.
Exactly.
And so, go ahead with that.
And some people naturally detox better than others.
Yes, they do.
And just because one child doesn't have an issue with certain things, the other child wouldn't either. It's not, they're two different bodies,
right?
So with her, of course, there were issues with heavy metals and then adrenals and lymphatic system.
Yes.
So it just gave us so much more. And when I look at the thermogram, with you, I know some people might think it's stressful, but I actually find it exciting.
Yes.
Because I'm like, wow, you can do so much.
Yes.
Because now we have all this information.
Yes.
That it's at our disposal, and we can miracles again, right?
Exactly. And it's not really a diagnosis too, right? Because a lot of times I think that's what it is, because most people are used to getting a diagnosis and no solution. Once you get a diagnosis, what it means is that you're just pretty much stuck with it for the rest of your life. It means you have to take medication. So I would rather not know. But the thermograms are not that way. They actually show us where our bodies, it's like a road map.
Right.
It shows you are here. And then we can actually take the path, we can change the trajectory of our health from that. And that's what I love about it, because it gives us an action plan rather than just a name, just a diagnosis that you're stuck with for the rest of your life.
So, once we got on the heavy metal detox, you could really see her accelerate in all different avenues of her life, whether it be school, whether it be, just overall not getting so tired towards the end of the day, her energy levels, her focus. Focus was the biggest one, and it wasn't like before she was bouncing off the walls or anything, but in general, overall, her demeanor, everything started to kind of change and just a little bit more relaxed, and not, of course, that the adrenals also caught up, so everything started falling in place. And now she's a happy, healthy 8-year-old who just,
that's wonderful,
wants to play and mess with her sister all the time, of course. So that goes on.
That's wonderful. And again, another thing that I also want to mention here is, so some of the things that we think are just in that child, like, a newborn is almost like a clean slate. And it couldn't be farther from the truth, because we actually, your eggs were formed when you were in the womb of your mother. So, which means that there are some generational things that are being passed on as well. And even adrenal stress. And this is the reason why they often say that during the pregnancy of the mother, it's very important to actually, be happy. Because if, let's say that we are stressed during our pregnancies, then that gets carried on into the baby. And the baby actually starts becoming stressed from being in the womb. So I do thermograms, and in our office, we have thermograms done for like 3-4-year-olds. And you can see the adrenals being severely stressed. And I'm thinking, wow. It's amazing how those little kids actually have all of those kinds of problems starting from that point in time. And obviously, they come to us because they have something going on. It's not like they're completely happy, healthy kids. They wouldn't be coming to us at that point in time. But that's important to actually also talk about here, because you mentioned how her adrenals were stressed. And most people don't believe that. What is the stress for a child?
I know, right?
Right. It's obviously not an external stress. It's not necessarily they're actually feeling stressed because they have a responsibility, they have to pay bills. But it's something that's internal. Their body is in the sympathetic mode. It's in the fight or flight mode often. And that is the reason why they are not happy either. And another thing that I also want to say here is, because I've actually seen this, unfortunately, so many times where parents are so upset with their kids because they don't have focus, or they actually, maybe are jumping off the walls, and they are upset with them, or maybe they are not really able to listen. Right? And they think they're doing it purposely, they are doing it, to actually disrespect them, and they're actually just being hard kids. And maybe I've even seen where some parents just hit the kid, from time to time, because they think somehow that'll actually change their demeanor. But in those cases, when I actually have done the thermograms, it's heart-wrenching, because you see heavy metals in them. You see detoxification pathways are completely blocked. You see that there is a deficit in brain circulation. I see all of these different things, and I'm thinking, oh my God, obviously the kid is not doing it intentionally. He doesn't know what to do. These are all just behaviors that come out of what is inside, in the body, internally, the problems, havoc that's being wreaked inside the body is what is showing up as these behaviors. And so that's the most important thing that I want to convey through this specific interview as well, is that when we change those things, as you were saying, she was irritable and now she's happy. So naturally, when we take off all that load, the child becomes happier, because that is the true nature of the child. It is just that they couldn't really express that when they are in pain internally.
And when they are going through something like that, and if something is causing, it could be a normal situation where you wouldn't think it's stressful for the child, but say they are getting stressed and they are acting in a way, they're not really using their frontal part of their brain at that point. You can't reason with them at that point. And they're just, it's their fight flight that is kicked in. Their cortisol levels are through the roof. And which pregnancy isn't stressed these days? I mean, most of us live in a society where we are constantly running. I mean, even if you're just working and running from point A to point B all day long doing something, and if your cortisol levels are high, your baby's probably born with high levels of cortisol, and their adrenals are already stressed
to begin with, and on top of it, think about food allergies and all of that. I mean, her body was just her body was just like, but how amazing it is that no matter all of that, still, no matter how stressed it was, it can still change. No matter what had happened in the past, it can still heal. And that is the power that we all hold, every single one of us. Nobody's free of that.
Absolutely.
Which is a good thing. And what else? Do you have anything that's personal that you want to share?
Personal, I think there's a lot of time people come and say, oh, homeopathy is just placebo effect. Of course, the mind is amazing,
right?
And we can't undermine your mind's ability to heal,
yes,
right? But at the same time, I do want to share that homeopathy works on animals.
Yes. Yes.
And it is amazing. I remember, Sowmya, if you don't mind me sharing, I called you in tears,
yes,
saying my dog
yes.
is suffering,
Yes, no, really, she's a vet too. No,
and
I'm not.
I called you on a personal note, and that's why I said, Sowmya, help me, not Dr. Sridharan, help me.
Yes.
But, and he was having seizures.
Right.
And the medication that they were going to put him on maybe was going to help his seizures, but was definitely going to ruin his liver.
Right.
And we were like, okay, so what do we do?
Right.
And once we put him on his homeopathy remedies, his seizures stopped within the first 2 weeks.
Yes.
There's so many ways of putting things down and saying, oh, this doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work.
Right.
It's just a matter of really digging, looking deeply inside
and experiencing, right? Because I don't think there is any replacement for experience.
No.
Until we experience something, we don't really know what it means. Exactly. We can just go by what another person says and parrot that, but we won't know until we experience what it means. Yeah, and I actually have to say that I was honored that you called me when your dog was sick, because I'm like, wow, she really thinks that I'm a vet too on the side, okay?
And she has a dog. I'm sure she's, already giving homeopathy remedies.
I did. But the thing is, I would never actually say any of these things out loud, because I'm like, I'm not a vet, obviously. So I'm like, okay, I don't really want to take on four-legged fur animals, for babies as well right now. And obviously, again, because I wasn't trained in that completely, but it's all life.
Yes.
So which means that, similar things work on similar lives. It's not going to be that different. And that's why I think I even told you, right, that, you have to understand that I am not, a vet. So which means that I'm not really claiming anything here, but we're going to try something.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you were so cool about it. You weren't like, no, I'm not, but at the same time, here's my disclaimer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, I have to speak the truth, right?
Yes.
Because I don't, and we'll just have to try and see. And if it's not, then I'll find you a good vet who can do good homeopathy.
Which is probably hard to find too, but here we are.
No, we would have found somebody if we needed it, but thankfully we didn't need to. So that's, that's actually a very, very good thing that you shared, because even for babies, right? Babies who don't really have, that psychological attachment to anything specifically, we actually are able to heal ear infections and things like that. And we have been, and then they came up with this idea that, oh, well, if the mother feels strongly about something, then the child is actually going to feel better. I'm like, if that is the case, the mother always wants the child to feel well. How come so many courses of antibiotics, doesn't actually heal anything, and it keeps coming back, right? Yeah. So it's not like the mother was thinking, oh, I'm giving an antibiotic, now the child is not going to get better or going to get sick next time. So it's like all these concepts are not really true, but, they try to keep giving it demerits, but it isn't. Obviously, it's really one of the probably the second or third popular medicine in all of the world. So obviously it works, otherwise we wouldn't be here still.
No. Well, and another thing that I do want to mention is that I really enjoy the fact that you're always so willing to share information. Obviously I came to you specifically for food allergy issues and whatever we were going through at the time, but you kind of had me, go on this beautiful journey of healing and health and trying to look at everything in that perspective at home. And also, when the kids are little, I think when they get sick, our first response used to just be panic at one point. I don't know what I need to do. Do I need to take her to the ER? What do I need to do?
Right.
That has completely been eliminated from our lives.
Yes.
There's the sense of calm where I do feel so empowered that I have the tools and I don't even have to call you for every little sniffle.
Yes.
You have kind of empowered me to learn and take our family's health in my own hands.
Yes.
And that is, what an amazing gift.
Yes. But you do have to understand that actually has something, it says more about you too. Because I can educate. I can talk about it. I mean, I have like so many videos and podcasts and all of these things. But do you think everybody is going to take it and get empowered with it? No, we can actually give the information, but it's up to the person to take it as well. So you are so powerful that you actually took that information and you ran with it. And that makes me so happy. Always it does. Whenever people actually do those kinds of things, it is, I mean, truly, that is what makes me feel fulfilled. Because that is my true intention, is not for people to become dependent on me, but for them to become so empowered, because we truly can. Every mother can treat their kids for all the acutes. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. And that's the reason why we even have all the protocols on our website for free. Like, please take it, do it, try it. That's the only way when you practice something. And I remember how you used to panic initially when anything used to happen. And now I see that big change in you that has taken place, where you're calm, you deal with most of the things yourself, and you only come to me when it's not really something that you know how to deal with. And that is wonderful. And I haven't seen your kids in a long time, so that's great. That's great, right? Because every time, you actually do that, what it does obviously for you is it reiterates that I can do this. And the more you do it, the more you feel powerful and strong. I mean, I definitely give that back to you, because you are definitely a unique mother in so many ways, because you did the research. You didn't accept the no as an answer. You were the mother who actually just didn't go with one thing, and still if it didn't change, you actually went further. And I've seen this as a pattern with all the mothers who heal their children. I do. They're always mothers who are warriors. They are not mothers who will just say, well, the doctor said this, which means that that's it, that's actually the Bible. They are not. They're like, nope, this doctor may not know this. I'm going to go find a different doctor until I get my answers. So there is so much power in that. And I often say this to a lot of patients when they come, and most mothers or fathers, when they come with a lot of anxiety, because they feel like the child is going to have this for the rest of their life, right? I mean, it is really a very sad state, because they come with so much of fear that, this is going to be something that is never going to heal, because that's what they hear constantly. But you didn't take no for an answer. So there's more power in that.
Well, thank you. And thank you for everything.
Thank you for coming in today and doing this interview for me, so we can actually share more of these stories, which is what we've been doing, right? Sharing stories of different kinds of healing with different kinds of modalities, not just what I do, but just different kinds of modalities. So people understand that even food allergies, I mean, there are another patient of mine who actually came with so much of eczema all over the body, and he was allergic to everything under the sun. Everything. I'm not even kidding. And the crazy part about it is that every year his allergies were going up and up and up, and all he was offered was pretty much an antihistamine every day and an EpiPen.
Yeah, I believe that.
And how sad is that?
It is. How do you sustain?
Exactly. And the thing is that, I mean, the mother, when she came, she was in such an anxious state, because she's obviously concerned about her child going into anaphylaxis anytime. Right? I mean, she's always watching him like a hawk, because she doesn't know what he's eating, what if he eats something. And sometimes it's not even things that he was necessarily like super allergic to, but he was allergic to everything. So how are you going to stop eating everything, right? So sometimes he'll have a severe reaction to foods that didn't even come up high on the blood work.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So yeah, she was super anxious. And the amazing part is, I mean, what an amazing body we have. Because his body changed so much. He has almost no eczema now.
Wow.
And we have actually done 2 blood panels since. And every time his allergies are dropping, and so many of them have gone away. He's able to eat more foods. He has gained weight. He has gained height.
Wow, that just sounds beautiful.
Yes. And that is the ability of the body. So when I see these kinds of things, it's like, okay, we need to share these, because so many parents are out there thinking that there's no hope. There are so many people who themselves have these kinds of things, and they think there's no hope. And so thank you for bringing hope.
Well, I am honored. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we'll come up with the next one soon. Thank you so much for listening. I know you have things to do and places to be, and you chose to listen to me. Thank you so much. for tuning in to today's episode. I'm Dr. Sowmya and it is an absolute honor to be heard by you. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this episode. Show us some love and share with your friends and family. And be sure to tune into our next episode in 2 weeks. Much love and health. Until then.